We've all met a young man like Daniil Melnik. This open-faced, sunny 21-year-old with a disarming grin. As soon as we enter the studio, a former factory in Lviv, western Ukraine, chatter and jokes begin. Melnik is used to being here. It was photographed several times by artist Marta Surko, but he is less accustomed to having an audience in the room. As soon as everyone introduces themselves, he and Surko get to work. First, he takes off his sweatshirt and pants, revealing the heavily tattooed body of a young soldier. Then he takes off his prosthetic legs. He has had 2 amputations below the knee. He is missing 3 fingers on his right hand. Surko asked him to position himself on a reflective metal plate. She explores him from different angles and suggests adjustments to his pose. At one point, he photographs it with a mirror. The resulting S will have a mysterious, slightly watery feel. Observant photographer Julia Kochetova darts around, capturing the entire process. Conversation flows throughout. Melnik angers Surko. "You're like my teacher at school. Even if the war stopped tomorrow, the number of amputations would continue to climb. 40 of Ukraine's territory is now mine." Surko's artistic focus has long been on human body, athletes' bodies, older people's bodies, contemplating the way body holds experience. He worked subjects with Down syndrome and his elderly grandparents, whom he photographed nude, socially conservative, making portraits an unusual physical frankness. Religious Western Ukraine. He was France for the annual Paris Photographic Art Fair in November last year when he visited the Louvre, and as he wandered among mutilated ancient Greek and Roman statues, a new project began to take shape. His mind. "The hardest thing," he says, "was finding the first protagonist who wanted to be photographed, and then the next hardest thing was explaining that they would have to be naked with scars, with everything that had happened them." Official figures put number of Ukrainians who have suffered amputations since start of full-scale invasion at 20,000. But experts on ground suspect real figure is much higher, perhaps as many as 50,000. The figures are approaching those of the First World War. The scale of what is happening is evident on the streets of Ukraine's cities. However, Surko noticed that this fact was not reflected in the Ukrainian media. One of Marta Surko's by Daniil Melnik. Marta Surko has now worked with several different people who were seriously injured in the war, finding topics through word of mouth or through Instagram or TikTok. His first shoot with a military volunteer who had lost both legs was not easy. It was in December last year, when Russia targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructure and there were frequent power outages. "It was cold and dark in the studio. We could only work for about 15 minutes, she says. "And then we went to dinner and I realized how many difficulties disabled people experience because, oh,